Tonight, we're stepping into that really unnerving silence of the graveyard shift. We're going to be telling some stories, focusing squarely on what overnight security work is actually like. It's a world that's, inherently isolating. And the stakes, they just go sky high the second something feels off.
Yeah, we've looked at quite a few accounts from security professionals for this. And what jumps out immediately is, well, these aren't just stories about petty crime.
Right.
These sources, they detail some truly terrifying, isolated incidents. Often things that are, frankly, hard to explain.
Yeah.
But they point to one big thing. The guards were up against some very strategic, very intelligent intruders, people who are basically weaponizing the darkness and hitting every single technical weak spot they could find.
So our focus tonight is really telling these stories, looking at the psychological pressure and the smart tactics involved here. We've got 3 different situations to walk you through. There's a government facility way out in the middle of nowhere, then a corporate office building, this one in New Jersey, and finally, a mobile patrol team responding to a break-in at a medical clinic.
And in every single one of these accounts, you'll see the guards realizing their standard procedures, their training. It was just completely useless against intruders who seem to have planned everything down to the minute.
It's that moment, isn't it, when an intruder shows they're smart enough to get around the protocols you rely on.
Exactly. Things like knocking out the phones or knowing the access codes, maybe even messing with the camera footage. Suddenly, all the physical security, the fences, the locks, it just doesn't seem to matter much anymore.
The fortress just collapses inward. And that isolated place becomes, well, a trap, a cage.
Right.
Let's start unpacking this by looking at just how much the settings themselves played a role. The sheer isolation. Our first story, it takes place at this huge 6-story government office building. The location itself was meant to create distance.
Yeah, you really can't get much more isolated.
Yeah.
The guard who wrote about this, he described the place as being damn near the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
Like 3 full miles from the main road, just woods all around. The only sounds were the building's own machinery humming away and, on this particular night, a really bad thunderstorm rolling through.
So you've got the remoteness, the storm, and despite the physical security, we're talking a 10-foot metal fence, barbed wire on top. The guard was completely alone. It was 2 a.m. on a Saturday, staffing issues, apparently. So that physical isolation, combined with the storm potentially affecting things, it created this peak vulnerability.
Which, as we'll see, the intruder absolutely used to their advantage.
Okay, now let's contrast that remote fortress feel with the second story. This is a medium-sized corporate office building, but it's in suburban New Jersey, so not remote in the same way.
No, the terror here wasn't really about being miles from anywhere. It was more about the violation of expectation. The guard said the job was usually, quote, boring, quiet, and uneventful.
Routine was the safety net.
Exactly. And that safety net just got torn apart when the guard spotted a figure moving down in the underground parking garage.
Which should have been totally empty.
Completely empty at that hour. The whole job relies on that building being deserted overnight. So seeing someone just slowly weaving between the cars down there, it instantly tells you something is fundamentally wrong. The usual emptiness suddenly feels menacing.
Yeah, definitely. And the third setting, this one hits even faster, more immediate threat. This involves a mobile security team. They pull up to a medical clinic around, 1:15 a.m., just a routine patrol.
Right, but there was no slow buildup here, no creeping dread. They arrived and the scene was already compromised.
Badly. The red flags were just right there, impossible to miss. The underground parking garage gate left open, and worse, the main glass front door busted wide open.
And the supervisor's first reaction really highlights the technical failure that signals a bigger threat. He apparently said if somebody broke in, the alarm should be on.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't. So case 1, extreme isolation breached by someone smart. Case 2, routine shattered by this, like silent stalker figure. And then case 3, the guards walk right into a situation where the main alarm system has already failed.
Which confirms the intruder didn't just break a door, they probably neutralized the electronic defenses before making entry.
Exactly. And that forces you to think differently about who these intruders are. These weren't your typical smash-and-grab thieves just looking for a quick score.
That really is the crucial point here. Let's dig into that government site intruder first. The way they operated, it was like a masterclass in cutting off help and eliminating witnesses.
The sequence of events is what's so chillingly strategic. First, the guard sees just a shadow, a fleeting glimpse during a lightning flash, a figure darting maybe 20 feet between trees near the perimeter.
Okay.
A few minutes later, he checks the cameras and finds the one covering the back parking lot is knocked out, just dangling by its wires. That's deliberate, calculated.
But then it escalates, right, from disabling physical stuff to actually breaching the system.
Yeah, because the system showed a green light at the door. The intruder knew the keypad code. They got in like they belonged there.
Wow. Knowing the code is already a huge step up.
Huge. But it didn't stop there. Next, the phone line inside the guard station went dead. Then his cell phone. No service, complete signal loss, and the final step. The main power to the entire building was cut, plunging the guard into total darkness.
The layers there, it's intense. An amateur breaks a window, grabs something, runs.
Right. This person, or people, they disable the camera outside, use the correct code to get inside, then systematically take out the landline, then cellular communication, and only then cut the main power.
That layered approach, it doesn't sound like they were after a quick theft. It feels more like neutralizing the guard first, making sure they couldn't call out, couldn't see before doing whatever they came to do.
That's what it suggests. Because, and this is key, when the police finally arrived and searched the place later, nothing was reported stolen.
No.
Nothing. Which brings up that big question. If you're this prepared, you've got a fully loaded, unregistered semi-automatic handgun, which police found, by the way, where the intruder apparently fell in a stairwell during the escape.
Okay, so they were definitely armed and dangerous.
Very. But why go through all that meticulous planning, disabling cameras, comms, power, if you weren't going to take anything?
Maybe they were interrupted by the guard.
Possibly. But even then, the level of technical disabling feels like overkill for just a robbery attempt. It makes you wonder if the motive was something else entirely. Maybe reconnaissance, maybe planting something, or targeting some kind of specific data, not physical items.
Whatever it was, the guards stumbled into something extremely serious. The threat level was off the charts.
Absolutely. Now let's pivot to that corporate stalker in New Jersey. This intruder, they operated with a kind of psychological precision that's really unnerving.
The description was unsettling too, right? Long, dark, oversized coat, moving slowly.
Yeah, weaving around the cars down there, almost like they were inspecting the area, as the guard put it. But the really weird part, the impossible movement.
What do you mean?
The guard sees the figure on camera, goes down to the garage, physically checks the whole place, finds it completely empty, standard procedure. He goes back up to his station. Almost immediately, the figure is back on the camera feed, standing in the exact same spot where they were before the guard went down.
Wait, how is that possible? Did they hide, or?
That's the question. Either they had a perfect unseen hiding spot, literally feet away, just out of the camera's blind spot maybe, or they were somehow watching the guard playing this deliberate game, appearing and disappearing.
That's creepy. And then there was the evidence left behind, right? Something about footprints.
Yes. Later, security found wet, barefoot footprints leading from the elevator shaft out into the main lobby area.
Barefoot. In an underground garage in New Jersey at 3 a.m. That makes no sense.
None at all. Was it some kind of bizarre diversion? Trying to suggest something not quite human? Or someone not fully clothed? It serves no real tactical purpose, but psychologically, it's incredibly disturbing.
And then the final kicker.
The final technical knockout. The camera footage. From the exact time the figure appeared, reappeared. All of it was gone. Systematically overwritten or somehow corrupted.
So they didn't just get away clean, they erased the proof of their impossible reappearance.
Exactly. That level of technical tampering, you just don't see that in simple trespassing. It suggests someone who knew precisely how to cover their digital tracks.
Okay, wow. And finally, the medical clinic. The ambush artist, you called them.
Yeah, because the team walked into immediate signs of confrontation. The busted door was loud and clear, but the first truly terrifying clue that someone was still inside and active, the elevator.
Right, it was moving on its own.
Moving unattended, cycling through the floors. Ground 1, 2, 3, stopping at the 4th floor.
So they knew someone was upstairs.
They knew the suspect was likely above them. So the guards head up to the 4th floor, which was pitch black, and as soon as they get there, they hear footsteps going down the nearby stairwell.
Okay, so the person's retreating.
That's what it sounded like initially. The steps were heavy, clear, loud, but then just as suddenly, they stopped, Complete silence.
Oh, that's worse.
Much worse. That sudden shift from loud retreat to absolute silence, that was the real tactical move. It told the supervisor everything.
What did they do?
He immediately radioed dispatch. His exact words conveyed the situation perfectly. The suspect was likely hiding downstairs, possibly armed, and waiting for us to come towards them so he or they can ambush us.
So the silence wasn't surrender, it was bait.
It was a strategically planned lull, designed to draw the guards down those dark stairs right into a potential kill zone.
Looking across all three of these stories, the kind of thing isn't just the break-in, it's how the guards had to react, right? They couldn't just follow the manual.
Not at all. Standard operating procedure went out the window. Survival meant thinking fast, often unconventionally.
Take the government building guard. Trapped on the 6th floor, no power, no way to call out, knowing this armed person is coming up the stairs. His escape, it hinged on this brilliant, desperate bluff.
He slammed the heavy 6th floor door loudly, made it sound like he'd panicked and run out of the building through that stairwell exit.
Just to create a diversion.
Exactly. That loud bang bought him maybe 20 seconds. Just enough time to scramble over to this industrial ladder he knew was there, climb up to a roof access hatch, and hide. Well, the intruder presumably searched that 6th floor thinking he'd fled down.
That's incredible quick thinking under pressure.
It absolutely saved his life. It allowed him to eventually wait, make a break for his truck parked outside, and just floor it. He said he saw the masked figure burst out of the building behind him as he sped away.
Wow. And the New Jersey Guard. They also relied on gut feeling, didn't they? Going against orders to check the garage.
Yes, overriding the supervisor who told them to stay put. But what really might have saved them later, when they were back up on the 5th floor and realized they were being followed, recognizing something specific about the footsteps.
What was it?
They heard footsteps echoing in the hallway or stairwell nearby, confirming the stalker wasn't just on camera anymore, but physically close. And crucially, they realized the footsteps sounded heavy, wet, and uneven.
The bare footprints.
Exactly. That immediate sensory detail, wet, uneven, connected directly back to the impossible barefoot intruder. It made the threat incredibly real and immediate right there, just out of sight. That realization triggered the desperate sprint for the stairwell and their escape.
And the medical clinic, the trainee was a calm one.
Relatively speaking, yes. The supervisor was understandably panicked, maybe wanting to run, but the trainee helped make the call to stay put on that dark 4th floor.
Why stay put? That sounds terrifying too.
It was, but it was strategically smart. They knew the suspect was downstairs, likely waiting. If they had tried to take the elevator down, which is noisy, right? The suspect on the ground floor would hear them coming, for sure.
And could potentially block the elevator doors, trap them inside.
Precisely. So staying quiet, hidden in the dark on the 4th floor, it was terrifying patience, but it was their only real defensive move. They basically frustrated the attacker's ambush plan by refusing to walk into it.
Okay, so we've seen the settings, the sophisticated intruders, the desperate survival tactics. But what really stands out when you look at the aftermath of all these incidents is that none of them are really resolved, were they?
No, that's the truly unsettling part. The questions just hang there in every report. Like, why did that highly prepared person armed with an illegal handgun go to all the trouble of accessing that remote government site? What was their actual goal? If they didn't steal anything, the police never figured out the motive.
And the corporate stalker in New Jersey. How did they get in past any alarms? How did they pull off that vanishing act? Why the bizarre bare footprints? And crucially, how did they manage to corrupt the camera footage? That calculated erasure, it points to someone who really knew how to disappear without a trace.
Yeah, completely. And at the clinic, the guards themselves were left wondering. They searched the upper floors, found nothing. But then, while they were up on the 3rd floor, they heard footsteps running out the front door downstairs.
So did the intruder just expertly hide and slip out while they were busy searching, or was there something else going on?
They couldn't be sure. In all 3 cases, the adversary, whoever they were, essentially got away clean, escaped detection, escaped accountability.
So when we put all these accounts together, the big takeaway for you listening is probably this. Physical security, things like fences and locks, they can become almost meaningless against someone who's truly motivated.
Especially if that adversary decides to exploit the psychological pressure of being alone, and specifically targets communication systems or other technical weak spots. These weren't just break-ins, they felt more like tactical operations based on planning and surprise, not just brute force. And that raises one last, maybe provocative thought for you to consider. We've seen really sophisticated, layered planning in all three of these stories, right? Knowing codes, cutting power, corrupting digital evidence, setting up ambushes in the dark.
Yeah, the level of preparation is startling.
So if this kind of capability is being used to breach facilities that are supposed to be guarded, even minimally, what does that level of planning and capability say about the potential threats out there, targeting even less protected, more isolated locations, places where maybe no one is watching at all?
That's a genuinely chilling thought to end on, a reminder of what might be moving unseen in the quiet hours. Well, thank you for diving into these really intense, unsettling accounts with us tonight. We know this was heavy stuff. If you found this exploration gripping, please do consider hitting that like button, sharing it with anyone else who appreciates these kinds of chilling real-life stories, and subscribing to our channel, Horror Docs, for more deep dives into the unsettling and unexplained. We'll see you next time.